Intel's 12600K, AMD Ryzen's 5600X. Which of these CPUs will win in Q4 2021's mid-range battle? Let's find out! Okay, before we get to the benchmarks, let's talk about the two CPUs. On the red side, the 5600X is 6 cores 12 threads with a base clock of 3.7 GHz up to a turbo boost of 4.6 GHz. Okay, on the blue corner, this is Intel's new CPU, the 12600K. Now, this is where things get very different. With these new 12th gen CPUs, Intel introduced a new concept called the P and E cores. Without going into too much detail, but that will be for another video, make sure to smash the subscribe button for that. The 12600K comes with 6 performance cores or P cores and 4 efficiency cores or E cores. And there's also a kind of a third layer because there's hyper-threading. So 6 P cores, 4 E cores and 16 threads. Okay, so the P cores, which we coin them as superhuman cores, handle your games as well as productivity. The E cores are the human cores, handle all your background tasks such as Discord. Okay, as for the test setups, the 5600X will sit on the MSI X570 Unify, 12600K on the new MSI Z690 Tomahawk D4. Both sets share a pair of G.Skill Flare X 16GB 3200MHz with the very beefy RTX 3080 Ti Suprim X, and both are powered by the Seasonic GX 1300 power supply. Now let's go on to our first gaming benchmark, Rainbow Six Siege. At 1080p, the 12600K averages at 506 FPS, the 5600X averages at 537 FPS. At 4040p, 403 for the blue team, 395 for the red team. Okay, game number 2, AC Valhalla. Alright, no big differences between the two CPUs. 113-114 for 12600K versus 5600X for 1080p, 93-94 respectively for the blue and red side. Because we can see that AC Valhalla is a very GPU bound game, so the CPUs don't actually play much part in these two games. Yeah. Okay, the next game, also another AAA title, the new Watch Dogs Legion. Okay, we can see that Watch Dogs Legions kind of favor the blue team, the 12600K, because it averages at 113 FPS, while the red team only averages at 100 FPS. At 4040p, it is 99 versus 91. Now for the last game, this one is a bit of a difficult one. It has not been patched for a long time, but yeah, this is Division 2. Things really get truly wacky here. We see 154 frames on the 12600K, but 190 over frames for the 5600X on 1080p, 131 frames for 12600K and 152 frames for the 5600X on 1440p. We'll explain to you why we think this happens, so make sure to stay to the end of the video. After all these gaming benchmarks, let's go on to one productivity benchmark, our favorite Cinebench R23. So this is where things make a very big change, because now the Intel actually wins the Ryzen CPU. The Intel clocks in at over 17,000 points, while the AMD only clocks in at 11,000 over points. Okay, so why do we think the Intel 12600K has a higher score than the AMD? From what we see, we theorize because now that the 12600K has 4 more efficiency cores, the CPU can utilize more of these cores to give you a higher score, a higher Cinebench score. Okay, if you're wondering, we did do some tests for power consumption as well as temperature. The 12600K idles at 85 watts and it consumes at about 120 watts during high loads such as Cinebench R23. The 5600X also consumes almost the same amount of power at 125 watts. As for temperature, I think, yeah, we will update you guys once we get a better understanding of what happens in the scheduler for both CPUs, because I'm not so sure what's going on, but yeah, we'll update you guys. Okay, so you may be wondering, why do I have a 12600K with a Z690 motherboard for a mid-range battle? A Z690 motherboard may be overkill for a mid-range CPU such as 12600K. I was actually expecting a 12700KF. So I did my benchmarks for 5900X during the weekends, but on Monday, I received this new CPU, open it up, 12600K. So yeah, from Monday to NDA Thursday, I only have 3-4 days left, so this is kind of a rush video, so yeah. Anyway, now we have it, 12600K versus a 5600X. So Gordon, what do you think about this new CPU from Intel?
Well, it was quite a bummer that instead of the 12900, we got the 12600K instead. But actually, when I look at it, it was a blessing in disguise because we got to compare the mid-range King versus
the mid-range AMD option.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after looking at the results, what I can say is this. Well, on paper, the productivity-wise, yes, finally, it's weird to say this, but yeah, the Intel CPU has taken the productivity crown. Clearly beats the 5600X, both in single core as well as
multi-core test. Yeah.
Okay, but when we bring it to gaming, however, this doesn't really translate over very well. This has me really scratching my head because for one thing, even though yes, the single core is so much higher, it didn't really help out in the games that much. Well, sure it did for Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, it did, quite a fair bit.
Yeah.
But for Rainbow Six, which is a game which everybody knows is quite CPU IPC dependent, especially at 1080p, the 5600X actually came out on top. As we look at AC Valhalla, that game is pretty GPU dependent, so it's no surprise that the result is a dead heat. Division 2, however, oh my god, I don't know what happened there. 150 FPS at 1080p. That was even worse than, I think, our 3800X plus RTX 3080 results back then 1 year ago.
Yep, correct. Yeah,
So what's going on here? The only thing that I can think of is that Division 2 is a pretty old title.
Warlords of New York.
Yeah, Warlords of New York. The expansion pack came out more than a year ago. It's pretty much run its course. It hasn't been patched in more than a year. So what I think is happening is that Division 2 doesn't quite know how to fully utilize and differentiate between the P cores and the E cores. So it's like kind of like jumping in between.
Yeah, I think it's not just Division 2. I think the 4 games that we all tested have the same issue. So we can see that the game pushes the cores to max out at the P cores. But when we go to see the utilization, they are just jumping around. We don't see a clear winner, a clear definition in the P cores and E cores.
Yeah, it's kind of like all 4 of the games doesn't really quite know who is P and who is E.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of work for Intel on this point.
Yes, definitely. I will say at this current juncture, no.
Yeah, still too early to say, yeah.
The CPU is good. Productivity-wise, multi-threaded, it's a monster. Games-wise, it's a dead heat. You win some, you lose some. However, a CPU is not an island. It needs supporting motherboards and other hardware surrounding it. And the motherboards is where things go against Alder Lake here for a couple of reasons. Number one, the cheapest Alder Lake motherboard that I can foresee coming out based on my prediction and projections on the pricings will start out at about SGD 300 to 350.
Yeah.
That gets you a Z690 M80X motherboard, I won't say which brand, with no Wi-Fi on board, 3 M.2 slots. That's pretty much it. Nothing else that's really impressive or noteworthy about it.
Yeah, correct.
Whereas if you were to look over on the Ryzen Zen architecture, 5600X, what motherboards does it have available for it?
All your B550 motherboards.
Yeah, you get a pretty wide range of motherboards where you'll be right at home actually. If you really want lots and lots of features, go ahead and spend on a high-end X570. If you want a mid-range, you get a B550. In that scenario, what can you get for SGD 350? Well, for one, you will be able to get something like, let's say, Asus B550M Tough Wi-Fi.
Yeah, is there anyone for MSI?
Yes, my favorite candidate, the B550M Mortar Wi-Fi. Yeah, those two. In the M80X category, both of them have Wi-Fi 6. Both of them will work pretty solidly with the 5600X. Quite frankly speaking, for a gamer looking at 5600X in an M80X format, maybe he puts a RTX 3060, 3070. That's more than enough for him.
Yeah, that's all he needs.
That's pretty much all that he needs, yeah. Why I bring this into the equation is, you agree with me, the mid-range is a very price-sensitive category.
Correct. You don't have much money, your budget is very constrained.
You're trying to save every dollar, right?
Yeah, correct.
Can I ask you, well, let's say if I can save $100 here, what can that get you?
Faster SSD.
A bigger SSD?
Yeah, faster one also.
Maybe a better GPU?
Yeah, slightly one range higher.
Let's say we're just taking MSRP, maybe from an RTX 3060, top up a bit more, you get an RTX 3060 Ti. So it's kind of like a balancing act here. The problem with the Intel ecosystem for Alder Lake, as the point, is that the money you spend to get into it I feel at this juncture can be better spent on other things, especially for like a home user, a gamer, that kind of thing. It will change drastically, I believe, once the ones lower than Z690 come out, like the H, the B. When those come out, we'll take a second look.
Yeah, and also when I see the Windows 11 stabilizers next year, when we actually see the actual scheduler actually getting a lot better, then we can get better results for you guys.
Yeah, because the way I see it, you know, I like to joke that Windows 11 is the world's largest alpha software testing session ever.
Just like Windows Vista was worse.
Given another 3 months, given another 6 months, actually that's a good time. That's probably when the HDs will come out.
Yep. Hopefully you like our review of these new mid-range CPUs. So if you do, make sure to give us a thumbs up and write down in the comments what other Intel CPUs would like to see from Alder Lake. From us.
Yep.
So with that, bye bye.
See you.